All right, our next children's Bible story is the beginning of the story of Moses, a basket boat. Now, Joseph grew old and died in Egypt. Many years later, a new king began to rule. He did not remember Joseph. He didn't like Joseph's family. He made them do hard work. He did not even want them to have boy babies. The people of Joseph's family were called Israelites, and the Israelites were afraid of the mean king. One Israelite woman had a baby boy. She wanted to hide him from the king, so she made a special basket that could float. She put the baby in the basket, then she took the basket to the river. She let it float on the water. The baby's sister hid by the river to watch and see what would happen. She saw the king's daughter, the princess, come down to the river. The princess saw the basket, she opened it and found the baby. She liked the baby and she wanted it to be her own baby. The baby's sister went to the princess and asked, "Do you want someone to take care of this baby for you?" "Yes," said the princess. So the sister ran and got her mother to take care of the baby. The baby's mother took good care of him. She took him to the princess when he was big enough. The princess named the baby Moses, and Moses grew up in the palace. Now, when Moses grew up, he left the palace. He did not like to see how the king made his people work so hard. He went to another land, and there he took care of sheep. One day, while he was watching the sheep, he saw a bush covered in fire, but it did not burn up. When he went closer to see the bush, God called him, "Moses, I want you to go to the king and tell him to let my people leave Egypt." Moses was afraid, but God said, "I'll be with you. I promise. I will bring the people out of Egypt. I will lead them to a special land." But Moses was still afraid. So God said, "Throw down the rod you are holding." Moses threw it down, and it turned into a snake. God said, "Pick it up again." So Moses picked it up, and it turned back into a rod. God said, "I will use signs like this to show the king that I am with you." So Moses went back to Egypt. He told his people that God would take them out of Egypt and that he would lead them to a new land. Now Moses went to the king of Egypt. He said, "God wants you to let his people go." But the king said, "No." So God turned all the water into blood. The people could not drink the water, but the king would not let the people go. So God made frogs come all over the land. Frogs were in ovens and beds everywhere. The king said, "Make the frogs go away, then your people can go." But after God took the frogs away, the king said, "No, the people cannot go." God made gnats come all over the land. The gnats were on people, they were on animals, but the king would not let the people go. Then God sent flies to Egypt. The houses were full of flies, the ground was covered with flies, and the king said, "The people can go, but take away the flies too." So God took the flies away. But then the king said, "You cannot go." Then God said, "Your cows and horses and donkeys will all get sick." And that's what happened. All the animals got sick. But the king still would not let the people go. Next, God made the people of Egypt get sick. They had sores on their bodies everywhere. But the king would not let the people go. Next, God sent a hailstorm. Hail beat down on everything growing in the fields. The king said, "We've had enough. Take the people and go." But when he saw the hail stop, he said, "You cannot go." Next, God sent locusts all over Egypt. They covered the ground until it was black. They ate the fruit off the trees. The king said, "Take away these locusts, then you can go." But when the locusts were gone, he changed his mind again. Then God sent darkness to cover the land. Even in the daytime, it was dark. No one could see anything. They could not leave their houses, but the king still would not let them go. Then God said, "The oldest boy in each family of the people of Egypt will die, but my people will be safe." It happened just as God said. And that night, the king called Moses. "Go," he said. So God's people took all they had and left.